Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about the job security of Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles. I want to make a separate video talking about quarterback Baker Mayfield because I feel like it deserves its own separate video, and I did a poll recently on the channel that asked the question, if the Bucs lose in week number 18 to the Carolina Panthers, do you believe Todd Bowles should be fired from the head coach of the team? And an overwhelming amount of people said yes, he should be fired if the Bucs lose in week number 18. So we're going to go through all the different types of scenarios for the Bucs and talk about which scenarios are good for Todd Bowles in terms of job security and which scenarios are bad for Todd Bowles in terms of job security. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. The first scenario is the worst scenario. If the Bucs lose to the Carolina Panthers in week 18 on January 7th, that's bad. And I will say this. Yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a great, awesome 4-game win streak from weeks 13 to week 16. I am going to really swallow my words, eat my words, so to speak. Whenever the Bucs were 4-7, I was calling for the possibility of the Buccaneers to fire Todd Bowles. I didn't have a lot of big optimism moving forward with the remainder of the season. I thought the Buccaneers did have the ability to bounce back, but I wasn't sure that they were going to be able to get that job done. And I was very happy to be wrong. The Bucs won against the Carolina Panthers, won against the Atlanta Falcons, won against the Green Bay Packers, and won against the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, that 4-game win streak, while I do think it does help out Todd Bowles' chances of staying on as the head coach, you look at the final 2 weeks of the year, you lost a pretty ugly loss to the New Orleans Saints. And if you lose to the Carolina Panthers, where you only had to win one of these 2 games to win the division and make the playoffs for a 4th year in a row, 2nd year in a row for Todd Bowles, and also win the division for a 2nd year in a row for Todd Bowles, that would be a pretty bad collapse, all things considered, and would really not give a lot of confidence, in my opinion, moving forward with Todd Bowles as the head coach. Because if this is a guy where, hey, he's got to win one game against the Saints or the Carolina Panthers, 2 teams that are admittedly mid in terms of the New Orleans Saints to worst in the league, in the case of the Carolina Panthers, it's not a good look if you can't get the job done in terms of beating one of those teams to get to the playoffs. So I think I do agree with a good amount of people whenever it is more likelier than not that Todd Bowles would be fired if they lost to the Carolina Panthers. I think that this 4-game win streak would certainly maybe make the Buccaneers pause and maybe give some thought to the decision, right? And also, I do want to say this. I think that the Bucs have exceeded expectations this year. I really do believe that. So I do want to give Todd Bowles credit. I think that this team has exceeded expectations from a team that a lot of people thought was going to win 3, 4, 5 games. That would have been a way easier decision for the Buccaneers to make if that was the team's record right now. I do think it is a little bit of a tougher decision if the Bucs do end up 8-9, because that is a couple wins better than expected, again, in my opinion. And you have seen guys on this team grow and develop, especially on the offensive side of the football, where guys are having career rebounds, guys are improving going into year number 2, and guys are just continuing their streaks of peak performance play. I'm talking about Baker Mayfield, Rashad White, Mike Evans, and some of the other guys in that offense, like Luke Gedeke as well. But again, while this win streak is impressive, while going 8-9, in my opinion, is better than expected, it's a really bad look if you lose the last 2 games of the year when you only needed to win 1 against these 2 teams to make the playoffs and to win the division. So that's the first scenario, right? And I feel like we've done a good job of laying out that map. The second scenario is that the Bucs win and they go to the playoffs. Now, we don't know who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to face. I believe right now as it stands, or I think it's pretty much confirmed, it's either going to be the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys. The Bucs go to the playoffs, and let's say this is the second scenario, they get annihilated in the playoffs. It's not even a close game. It is not even a competition The Bucs are just hammered in the playoffs, basically can't even show up, can't even compete in a home playoff game. What happens in that scenario? That is possibly the trickiest scenario out of the bunch because I genuinely think it is a 50-50 toss-up. I would not be surprised if the Bucs were to move on from Todd Bowles. Yes, this is his second year in a row making the playoffs. Yes, this is the second year in a row winning the division. But how much confidence would the Glaziers have moving forward when it's the second year in a row where the Bucs get absolutely demolished in round number 1 and are barely winning a not so great division, right? And look, at the end of the day, winning a division is winning a division. I don't care what anybody says. Winning a division is still a positive thing, and if the Bucs finish with a 9-8 record, that's better than what their record was last year, which would be just absolutely wild. You have a better record without Tom Brady than you did with Tom Brady. That'd be such a just of course it would be type of thing. But I do think it would still be 50-50 just because it would definitely still raise some questions of, okay, Todd Bowles can have a winning record as a head coach. Yes, he can win a division, but is this going to be the guy that you trust moving forward for deep playoff runs, to continue to develop a powerful roster, to have the right guys in place? That's where I think it is genuinely a 50-50 toss-up. In some ways, you could say yes. In some ways, you could say no. That is a scenario there where I definitely think that it is a genuine 50-50 toss-up. It wouldn't surprise me either way in that scenario, and I think that that's the best way to describe it. The third scenario I want to talk about is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win versus the Carolina Panthers. They go to the playoffs, and let's say they're competitive. Let's say they only lose by 7, 10, maybe only 3, right? Maybe it's a last-second field goal and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose. At that point, I think it would be more likelier than not that Todd Bowles would be staying with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that that is enough proof to say, okay, Todd Bowles can make the playoffs. Todd Bowles can win the division. Two things that he already proved last year, but now a new thing that Todd Bowles is proving is that he can at least compete in a wild card game. He can compete with some of these bigger, let's just say bigger boy teams in the NFL, right? We've seen possible snippets of that throughout this year, going down to the wire with the Buffalo Bills, going down to the wire with the Houston Texans, going, kind of being competitive with the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are 3 games that make you say, okay, maybe this team could compete. I will say this. If the playoff game was against the Bills or the Texans, I mean, if it was a last-second drive, I don't know, maybe the waters get a little bit murkier like the Houston Texans game. But, if these are, the final 2 scores, 24-18 or 39-37, and the Bucs were very, very competitive, I think it is more likely than not that Todd Bowles would be staying with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because it is proving hey, not only is the team seeming to get better, but Todd Bowles seems to be improving with his overall record, with his overall resume as a head coach. That is how I view that scenario. And then finally, the last scenario I want to talk about is the Bucs go in, they win against the Carolina Panthers, they go and play against the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys, and they win a playoff game. I would think, without a shadow of a doubt, that Todd Bowles would be back with the team. Even if they are eliminated in round 2, even if it's an ugly elimination in round 2, I think that Todd Bowles would be back. You're proving that you can win in the playoffs. You're proving, once again, you can win the division and make the playoffs. That is shown improvement for the Bucs. I do believe that. And look, even this year, right? I talked about this being an overachieving season. Folks, it really is. With $50 million in dead cap, you lost Tom Brady. You lost some other talented pieces in the mix. Some of your draft picks haven't been panning out. Some of the players that you brought in free agency certainly haven't panned out. It really would be a very, very strong showing from Todd Bowles to say, hey, I'm a guy that can be a leader of men. I'm a guy that can be a productive head coach. Give me some time. Give me another full offseason to build up a team, to have some continuity with Dave Canales and some of the other guys that are here. Maybe one of those guys is Baker Mayfield. Again, that'll be in a separate video. And I can possibly even produce better results. And I think that would be a scenario where Todd Bowles would be completely safe. If you go in to the playoffs, you win in the wild card round, you're safe. Some people may disagree with that. Some people may agree with that. I don't know. But out of the 4 scenarios, if you lose to the Carolina Panthers, I do think it is more likelier than not that he would be fired in that situation. It could still be a little bit of a toss-up in my mind, but I do think it is more likelier than not. If the Buccaneers win, they go to the playoffs and get absolutely crushed. I think it is 50-50. If the Buccaneers win, go to the playoffs, and they are competitive, I think it is more likelier than not that Todd Bowles sticks around. And then finally, if the Buccaneers win, go to the playoffs, and win a playoff game, I think he is staying around. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with my assessment of Todd Bowles' job security? Do you disagree? Do you think that even if the Buccaneers do go 8-9 and don't make the playoffs, Todd Bowles is going to be safe based on all the different types of circumstances that have surrounded him this season, and the Bucs have, in my opinion, overachieved this year? Let me know. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Just these are the types of things based on not even necessarily what I would do, but what I think the organization would do. Those are my thoughts and opinions. And that's how I try to, structure these videos, is more so what the team may do, more so versus what I would do. Because who cares what I would do? I'm just some dude talking on the internet. So let me know your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear them down in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.